Meet the Furple brothers, Bill.
I'm robbing a bank!
It's across the street.
Dave.
Breathe in and let it out.
And Alvin.
I just did what the map said. I made 4 lefts.
The world's worst robbers.
4 lefts is a circle, you idiot!
Are you sure?
Trapped in the world's nicest town.
Hey, you guys all right? No, we're not dead, if that's what you mean, you.
Trapped in Paradise. Rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special holiday retro review of the 1994 classic Trapped in Paradise. The movie is written and directed by George Gallo. Stars Nicolas Cage, John Lovitz, and Dana Carvey. And it has a little bit of a tie-in to film junk lore and local history, if you will. It's been quite a while since I had seen this one, but did you guys see this in theaters? I don't think I ever saw it in theaters originally.
I did, yes.
Well, you had probably specific reasons for that, right?
I suppose so. I mean, I am a fan of Gallo's humor. Yeah, I mean, we can get into that whenever Sean feels it's appropriate.
Well, did your whole family go to see it together, or
no?
Really?
I think I went by myself.
What?
I don't know who. I can't remember who I went with. So my dad was an extra, and all I remember is seeing him in the movie in the theater. But then when it was released on DVD or whatever, in a pan and scan version, he was not in the pan and scan because he was riding the edges of the frame in there. So
now I don't know if we want to get into your father's appearance right now, but was he excited about it? Like, did he talk about it? Was he into the idea of being an extra?
I think he was doing it more for me because I was into movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So he went with me to sign up to be an extra in this motion picture. And I checked that I was not willing to cut my hair for the film. So I did not get picked, and my dad did.
How long was your hair?
It was just like
shoulder length.
Yeah. All right.
So I ended up going with him for his days. I think I was there 2 or 3 days. I did shoot video, but unfortunately that's long gone. And got to witness a little bit of movie magic. So,
any run-ins or interactions with the stars of the film? I'm most curious about Madchen and Mick.
Madchen and Mick?
How do you pronounce it? Madchen and Mick? Isn't that how you pronounce her name? How do you pronounce her name?
In Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did not see her anywhere, unfortunately. Dana Carvey came over because there was a little crowd watching, and he came over and was like, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing?" But other than that, not really. It was I watched them filming the scene where we should get into what the movie is about, but I'll just say the getaway scene where Dana Carvey is driving the car without them, and then he stops, and then they all run over and get in the car and drive away. And then the cops follow. That's what I was there to see. And it was cool.
That is cool. I didn't know. I never heard that part about, your dad kind of did it for you because you liked movies. That's sweet.
Mm-hmm. And I'll save this because I don't want to blow my load right off the top here. I
had never seen this movie. This is a first time watch.
What? You had never seen it? Oh
this is a Christmas classic, dude.
Well, I was super into SNL around this time. Like Tommy Boy was my favorite movie a year later, and I never really liked Dana Carvey all that much. I didn't think he was that funny. Not a big John Lovitz fan. And I don't know why. It seems like something I should have loved and wanted to see, but I never rented it, never cared. It's very strange. For whatever reason, it makes me think of a movie I did watch and like with a similar cover, which is Grumpy Old Men, which I probably should revisit sometime soon. It's been a while.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the film was panned across the board.
We got to get into Ebert's review at some point. But
yeah, I mean,
maybe that's why. Maybe I was already under the spell of
probably.
Ebert.
My dad ended up. I mean, thank God I didn't get the role as a background extra. He's now immortalized in this piece of trash movie.
Think of what your correspondence would have been with Roger Ebert if you were in a movie he panned. Your relationship changed forever.
I know. Yeah, it's true. But I mean, Niagara on the Lake is the perfect setting for Christmas time. I don't know if you were going to get to this, Sean, but also The Ref was filmed there with Dennis Leary and Kevin Spacey.
I didn't know that either.
Another Christmas film. And
even though we live close to Niagara on the Lake, I've been to Niagara on the Lake, but I've never been to downtown Niagara on the Lake. So I didn't recognize any of the locations, which is kind of weird. The fact that
you've not been there?
Yeah, that's strange.
Well, it's not weird that it is kind of weird that you've never been there, but it's even weirder that you don't know what it looks like.
Why is that? If I haven't been there, how would I know what it looks like?
Because I would imagine like you would have seen images of Niagara on the Lake at some point in your life.
Where would you see stuff like that?
The internet.
Yeah. Hey, what's Niagara on the Lake downtown look like? I'm curious. What was
I mean, is that?
It's a pretty small
ridiculous
little area to begin with, but yeah. So I mean,
I wouldn't even call it downtown. It's just like a strip with some stores, but
yeah.
But a place that is, like I said, perfect Christmas location. And another little. So the Goblin Man of Norway thing that I did for Silicon Knights, the exterior of the museum where the Goblin Man is on display is the bank that they rob in Trapped in Paradise, which they did build a facade onto. But we should say, before we get too far down this path, should we say what it's about?
I'm game.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you the IMDb plot synopsis so we can go into a little more detail. Residents of a friendly Pennsylvania town foil three brothers' plan to rob a bank on Christmas Eve.
That's not a good synopsis.
Yeah, I think because the Trapped in Paradise is the thing that you kind of need to hit on.
Yeah, like that makes it sound like it says they foiled their plan. No, I mean, the whole idea is Nicolas Cage. There's three brothers. Nicolas Cage is kind of the brother it's kind of weird. He's either not been a criminal or has been and is trying to remain straight and narrow. I don't get it entirely, but maybe there's something inside him that gets triggered, by his brothers being released from prison. Dana Carvey's character is a kleptomaniac and John Lovitz's character is a liar. And they, through a series of circumstances, convince Nicolas Cage, their brother, to take them to this town Paradise because they know via a source in prison that the bank in Paradise is not well protected. It's an easy mark. So they convince him to bring them there. And then when Nicolas Cage is in the bank and starts seeing how easy it is to rob, he immediately is like, all right, let's do this. Weirdly. There's a love interest with Sarah. Beautiful Sarah Collins. Upstairs Sarah. And there's a cast of townspeople that are the loveliest, kindest townspeople. One of them is the manager of the bank. And essentially, what happens is they are so kind to these three brothers that, one, they start to feel guilty that they stole this money. And two, they're faced with this problem where every time they try to leave paradise, something gets in the way of them leaving, whether it be a snowstorm or them having to save a horse from falling through ice or whatever else. So they are trapped in paradise. And through that process, the Christmas spirit works its way into their minds and
Hearts. I think more it's their hearts, Jay.
Christmas mind virus.
Yeah, nothing like the way your mind feels over Christmas. My mind is very stimulated over the holiday season.
I would think you would be someone who would be like, your heart doesn't feel anything. It's your mind.
I see what you're saying. I don't disagree.
So yeah, and that's the setup. But I think the biggest issue with this movie, I mean, it's not that funny. I kind of liked Richard Jenkins in it. When he's like, what? But it's long. It's nearly 2 hours long. It just like feels like nothing happens. We don't get to know anybody. It'd been a little while since I watched it, and the whole thing of them getting to know the townspeople and through that starting to feel guilty about having stole the money is essentially like one scene. They have dinner with them after their car goes off of a bridge and somehow they survive that. They have dinner with this family who gives them their, clean clothes, lets them open presents that were meant for family members, and they just start to feel bad. And the whole Sarah relationship is so undercooked. It's weird. Like there's a lot of stuff in here and not a lot of substance.
Yeah, I haven't read the Roger Ebert review. If I did when I was younger, I've long forgotten, but I'll channel him here. I hated this movie. I really did not care for it at all. I was astounded how anyone could think this movie would work even as a script. I haven't read the original script. I'm assuming it was kind of greenlit based on the writer.
Sorry, you didn't read the.
I did not.
We all agreed to read the original script ahead of this review.
I couldn't do it. I was busy. The holiday season is stressful.
I was busy playing Pikmin 3.
And so I can't say if it's the original script worked and production went astray and editing, but everything you've alluded to already is a disaster, which, like, first of all, Nicolas Cage's character. To me, the comedic premise of the movie should be, is this family, whether it's in their DNA to be dishonest or steal, and he's fighting that urge. His whole life, he's been fighting that urge, and he somehow can't do it. Like, is that nature of being devious or a criminal built into someone, whether it's through nature or nurture? To me, that should be the comedic premise of the entire film. And it doesn't really come into fruition at all. You get the sense that he's the good guy early on, but then in a scene later, he's the first one to kind of embrace robbing the bank. And you don't feel any tension or internal struggle about those things at all. And, you could easily work in comedy of him wanting to do something bad, but fighting it. And it's not.
To be fair, they do trick him with the wallet thing.
Yeah. And then he turns in a dime, which in fact, that turn could have been funny of him embracing it. And that's not used at all. So that whole idea is completely wasted. Basically, it comes down to a movie about circumstance and coincidence and connections between people, including Mad Chinamik's character father being a criminal and how that all ties together. And it's a comedy of error and circumstance, which isn't funny. And the circumstances aren't that interesting. They're very forced. And I was going to say, it feels like it's greenlit based on, I mean, that's basically what Midnight Run is to some degree, a setup of all these characters interacting in weird ways and how the plot all comes together. And it's the same, the director and writer is the same writer as Midnight Run. And it feels like, well, that was a good movie. We'll do the same thing with this, but I don't think the script is there at all. And like the romantic connection between Sarah and Nicolas Cage is like disturbing.
Sarah Collins?
Yeah.
Are you married?
Why, are you gonna propose?
Yes.
Do I know you?
And how he's like, I mean, I'm falling in love with Sarah in the movie, but like that's just like a visceral thing. He's in the moment, and their relationship and how the movie ends of them maybe settling down together makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It is so strange. And really everything about the movie is like that. The mom, who is to me, the only kind of funny aspect of the movie. And I was reminded of that actor from sitcoms I watched around the same time. I'm like, she was in Night Court, I think. But do you know what else she was in, which I had forgotten until I looked her up on IMDb?
No.
And it all came flooding back. Let's get the actress's name. Sorry.
Florence Stanley.
Having a Sean IMDb fail right now. The Florence Stanley, she was also, and this is what she was in way more, My Two Dads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, classic.
Okay.
I did not know this. She played the same character. It was a crossover character
In Night Court?
from Night Court and My Two Dads.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. Mind blowing. Character's name was more IMDb fail here. Oh, she was on Mr. Belvedere as well. Judge Wilbur, Judge Margaret Wilbur. So
Yeah, that makes sense because she was the one who like created that dynamic.
I don't remember, but it all came together. But I mean, so all the script is terrible. Plot construction, one of the worst I've seen in a long time for like a big budget movie. I was relatively pleased considering how much I talk about how shitty movies look now. For a comedy, a lower budget comedy in the 90s, it looked good photography wise. It's widescreen.
Whoa. You said it's a big budget movie. Then you said it's a lower budget comedy. Which one is it?
Maybe I just misspoke. It's a lower budget comedy that still looks good, or there was some budget put towards cinematography.
Okay, we need to find out what the budget was.
I was just looking it up. It said it made $8 million at the box office. Doesn't have the budget number on Wikipedia.
And I was like, well, maybe at least if it's funny, if I can get one or two laughs out of this movie, it'll be worth watching. Dana Carvey is so painfully unfunny in this movie. And I find some of his voices and characters and impressions pretty funny. I listened to his podcast with David Spade, and I'm more of a Spade guy, but he does have his moments on that podcast. And in certain SNL sketches, I found absolutely nothing he did in this movie funny. It just got on my nerves to a level I can't even have. The only thing I laughed at is the brother's last name, Burpo. I don't even think it's supposed to be funny.
But I mean, he does a funny voice. You do like funny voices.
Well,
what
I
else
like
do you want
voices that can be funny. This one is not funny.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not very funny overall. There is some, like, I feel like there's potential, like I actually don't mind the three of them together. I mean, there's no real jokes. But I kind of like it when Nicolas Cage is angry and yelling at them, and how kind of stupid the other two are.
See, this felt like a candidate for the episode 1000 Junkies Let Him Riff Award, where he's trying to be funny and trying to punch up this terrible script. And even that, anything he did, the Cageisms fell flat for me in this movie too.
Is this one of your elaborate schemes?
Oh, now come on. Now, would I do that to you?
Dave? I know how your mind works. You know exactly what you're doing. And the whole time, you're staying there with this who me expression on your face!
I feel like he hadn't developed the Nicolas Cage we know today. He was a few years away from that. This was a failed stepping stone.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Like, if you look at where this falls in his career, it's right before he got huge. So it's kind of like I assume, people knew who he was. He was the headlining star of this movie, and he does, as much as the script is terrible and his relationship with Sarah makes no sense and all this stuff, but like he brings something to the movie just from his performance. But then I'm like, I don't know, like I would think this would be like a movie that's like a flop that just, his career takes a hit, but right after this, he got huge. So I don't know. It's a weird blip on his trajectory.
Well, wasn't he? I mean, at this point, he was already. Wasn't he nominated for an Oscar for Moonstruck?
I don't know about that. He might have been, but I mean, yeah, there was definitely a few movies that he was acclaimed for. I mean, obviously, Raising Arizona, like he was known for that. It almost feels like this movie's riffing a
Wild
little
at
bit
Heart.
on that.
He was. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there. I mean, I know what you mean, but there were definitely he was known at this point.
Yeah, but it's just like right after this, it's Leaving Las Vegas, wins an Oscar, and then he's doing stuff like The Rock and like Con Air, and he's a huge star. So
I'm not seeing a nomination for Moonstruck.
No, but Cher was nominated and won.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing this in the theater and being disappointed, specifically with the Dana Carvey side of things, because it's a couple of years after Wayne's World, and the decision, like the decision to play that character the way he plays it.
What I've learned in prison is that like robbing and stealing and all that horse shit.
I can't imagine going to the director and being like, so this is how I'm going to talk.
Hey, Merlin, scallions. I like scallions, so...
He's got scallions.
Give me more of those scallions.
Yeah, there's some scallions in there.
That's a big commitment for that. But at least he's doing something. I feel like John Lovitz is just useless in this movie. He's not even being Lovitzy,
I get that, but that's the weird thing with Dana Carvey to me is the tone of that performance does not match anything else in the movie. It just stands out as being so awkward, where I can appreciate that he's trying to do something, but it does not fit within the movie. If there was maybe a counterbalance of another character doing something amped up or cartoony, or a few characters like that, it would fit a bit more, but he's the only performer doing something like that. It makes no sense.
He's trying to do like a New York mobster thing, and everyone has these in and out accents. Sarah, she will suddenly have this New York accent, and then it dips away.
Really?
Nicholas,
I thought Sarah was absolutely perfect. There was nothing wrong with her at all.
No, she does near the end, especially when her father shows up. There's like a kind of Brooklyn accent. But I think the concept, I mean, I will say, I think visually it captures a lot of Christmassy stuff, like feelings and
not
elements.
bad as a Christmas movie. I agree.
Well, it
Maybe
almost
we'll add a hot take to that. This might be like personal bias or location bias, but as much as I complain about movies, every movie being in LA and New York and how important they are, if this is like where we live, it looks like shit in a movie. It looks so boring and drab. There's not that much snow. It just looks kind of dreary and brown. And I'm like, do we live in a fucking shithole? Because I don't think it's a shithole when I'm out there in the world. But when I see it on screen, it evokes nothing in me.
Well, I think the Niagara on the Lake stuff looks pretty nice. I mean, the other stuff, is just them driving around on country roads, and
it's just so overcast. I don't know. I do not get positive vibes, Christmassy vibes at all in this movie.
Well, here's a question. When was this shot? Like, was it actually winter, or was it all fake snow, or?
No, it was winter. It was January to April, I believe, 1994.
I think I have a note about the horse having good breath, because you could see the breath of the horse because it was so cold outside. So I thought Jay would appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. Good horse breath.
It was definitely winter, but of course they would bring in snow machines and stuff for the whole sleigh ride chase. But I mean, I guess I have a little bit of a soft spot for it just because of all of the connections. But I do, like I said, I do recall being disappointed because I also was at that time into Saturday Night Live and Dana Carvey and John Lovitz, and thought that it was kind of like a guaranteed comedy classic, but just doesn't really hit the mark.
I mean, how would you compare this to like Three Fugitives, say?
Three Fugitives is way better than this.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Which
but it's in the same, sort of ballpark, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's just some weird, like, okay, here's a weird logic thing. So they steal this money. It's like $250,000 or something. And then they decide, we're going to bring this back. We can't take this. So they go back to the bank, and Nicolas Cage happened to still have the keys to the bank and to the vault. And, there's comments like, oh, we're going to be the first gang of criminals caught putting money back into a bank. So they show up to the bank and they get inside, and then he's like, has to use the key to open the vault. And they say, oh,
if you got the wrong key, you could set off the alarm. Scallions.
And then he puts the wrong key in, the alarm goes off. And then they're like, oh shit, got to get the right key. And they open it, and then there are bars in the vault. And they're like, no. And then they leave the bank like with the money. What do we do next? Why do they have to put it in the vault? Why can't they just leave it in the bank?
They end up leaving it on someone's doorstep anyway.
I know.
Yeah.
They have the key to lock the bank, right? So why not put it in and just front door to the bank?
Yeah.
And then send a note to the bank manager.
Doesn't make sense. And the ways in which they're stuck in this town, it was never satisfying, like it never felt like they truly couldn't leave.
Including surviving a car crash where a car lands.
Yeah. And the way they react when they get out is Nicolas Cage is like, ow.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing too, like it felt weird that like they're being chased by a cop. They go off the bridge. The cop goes past and didn't see that. Okay, I guess that could happen. But then immediately another car is there saying, "Oh, do you need help?" and then helps them. They come out and like nobody finds this car, like nobody's looking. And it just seems weird that like somehow they end up getting to this house and nobody knows that they're in this town, that there's a crashed car. Like it just seems,
and the police and the FBI are on this case, and they're like, oh, how do we, was there anything weird going on in town? Well, there were 3 guys that came into town that we hadn't recognized before, but other than that, no. And they're wearing the clothes that they specifically bought to rob the bank. And there's another weird moment near the end when they're so the town ends up covering for them because they forgive them for returning the money, and the town is just the town is just so kind and
3 gentlemen.
Yeah, these 3 wise men, if you will. And so the cops are like, there's this other side story of these 2 guys who are deputized sheriffs who run a convenience store or something. And they start to track the 3 brothers with the intent of taking the money for themselves. And so at the end, it's like everyone in the movie who's been involved in anything are all in one room. And, the 3 brothers are about to go to jail, it seems. And the townspeople, one by one, say, I didn't see anything. I didn't see it, and then those 2 guys who have been trailing them say, well, we saw them come in and buy ski masks for the robbery from our store. If where are those ski masks if you didn't? And Dana Carvey's,
You want ski masks? You want... Here you go. Ski...
And he starts pulling out the ski masks, and it's like...
They did it?
What does that prove? Like, I know it's trying to say that... it proves they did it. It's trying to say, like, oh, well, we bought those ski masks, and they're ours because we bought them, so here they are.
Well, why would one person have all 3?
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, is it supposed to be that they would have gotten rid of them if they used them to rob the bank or something?
Yeah, by providing those ski masks in that moment, somehow that was evidence that their intentions when buying those ski masks were to keep them and use them as ski masks.
I don't know, but then Richard Jenkins is like, sit down or something. Like, he doesn't really take that seriously. So it doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean, also the fact that Richard Jenkins is like, you guys are getting a break of a lifetime. Don't waste it.
And then he acknowledges, yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
Like, you admitting you did it at that point?
You're right. We are getting the break of a lifetime after having done this crime. We won't waste it.
I mean, the movie should be a comedy of errors, but it's a tragedy of errors. It is absolutely abysmal. Even the start of the movie, it starts with some snow falling on a scene. And in my head, I'm like, oh, it's a snow globe. We're going to pull, it feels like a snow globe. We're going to pull out. And it's just some random window with a scene in it. Like, I don't even know what it's supposed to,
it's window display, Christmas window display.
I don't know. Something felt off with that. And from that point on, I just had this uneasy feeling about everything. Nothing makes sense. The only thing that was good in this movie is Jay's dad. He's incredible.
Yeah, it was an amazing performance.
So where is your dad specifically in the movie?
It's when the 3 guys show up in town and Nicolas Cage is like, let's not be draw too much attention to ourselves.
Do me a favor, let's try to keep this as inconspicuous as possible.
Absolutely.
And then they pull up and the horse,
Merlin,
does like Winnie's back, and the deputy on the horse falls off and everybody gathers around. Right. What's happening? And the R word is dropped, and my dad is in the crowd at that point.
You didn't see him, Sean?
No, I didn't. I thought he was in an earlier scene for some reason. And I was like trying to look and pick him out, and I couldn't see. So,
well, we'll see.
I have to watch it again, I guess.
We'll be cutting to it in this video, so you can watch this video and find out.
Nice.
But on that point, I can send you guys. Okay, so in found some other things here. I'm going to send these over to you, and I will include them in our video. So my dad did manage to ask to get some autographs for my mom. This is a John Lovitz autograph, and it is very John Lovitz.
I like it.
And then he couldn't get Nicolas Cage's autograph.
What a hero.
Too huge.
Yeah. But
He's cinema royalty. He's a Coppola. Good for everyone else.
There's Mr. Carvey's autograph, which is also a pretty nice one.
What's it say? Damn, it's party on.
Happy 40th, Dana Carvey.
Nice.
And
what a jerk Cage is.
So I was looking around because I was trying to figure out.
It's time to have drunken arguments with Vince Neil outside casinos, but he can't sign an autograph for a nice lady in the Niagara region.
Yeah. I was looking up locations because I know there's the obvious Niagara on the Lake stuff, but there are some areas that I didn't recognize. And so there are a couple other places in Ontario that they filmed, but I found a website by some guy, like a blog, who is a stand-in performer, and he writes about Trapped in Paradise as being his first stand-in gig. So I think he was a stand-in for Nicolas Cage, and he's got a bunch of photos on his website. And I found a photo I'll send you right now.
Oh,
okay.
Detective J, this might not be good.
In the background of this photo,
is that you?
You will see myself and my friend Johnny Secord.
That is hilarious.
Standing in the back of this photo of this guy, which is pretty crazy.
What are the odds of that?
I thought in my mind on set, I pictured you being way younger for some reason.
I mean, I'm 14 there.
Really?
About to turn 15.
Oh, you went through puberty a lot earlier than I did.
This guy was a man at 14.
I was a late bloomer.
This would be grade 8.
Yeah, I was. People thought I was a girl in grade 8 for the most part.
So, but Jay, I thought you were going to bring up one of the other locations, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the same place you shot Color Non Vidente, is it not? The truck stop?
No.
That's not the same place?
What a fail shot.
Well, okay.
Single fail.
Hang on. Now, where did you shoot Color Non Vidente?
That truck stop?
Yeah. What it was?
That was on the QE
road?
Off the QEW. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Uh-oh.
If you look at, because
hang
on,
I wish I could play that in reverse.
Because let me send you a screenshot of it from the movie, because it says 50 stop in the background.
I mean, it could be. I assumed
changing his tune.
Well, just that truck stop has that very distinct circular window. I didn't see that there, so maybe they framed it out or something.
That was, I wasn't sure, like the interior looked kind of familiar. I couldn't tell if it was the same thing, but I'm pretty sure the exterior at least is the same place.
I gotta see this. Please send it. Oh, all right.
You did. The roof tiling and shape.
Oh, yeah.
And the sign out front.
Specials.
And it did have like a motel behind it. Although where's that part that jets out? Like, did they add that later or something?
They must have. I mean, because it looks different, but like the sign is exactly the same, so it's got to be the same place, right?
Sean, Jay will never apologize, but I will. I'm sorry for not trusting you and taking.
I apologize. I mean, I'm still not convinced 100%, but
I could tell. Look him in the eye and say you're sorry.
It's just weird that I guess they built that part on? It's weird that they have the same sign, though.
Whenever Jay's wrong, he's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean,
it's interesting. It's interesting. That that perspective is interesting. No, it is. It clearly is that location. Did it say that they filmed the interior as well?
That I'm not sure. Like it looked familiar. It looked kind of like what I remember, but it also that the circular window thing you're talking about wasn't there. So I don't. Maybe
yeah, it's like there was a convenience store in there.
Yeah,
because I remember when we were filming, Zach went in there and was going through their discount DVD bin.
3 for $20, not bad.
Yeah, I mean listen, Trapped in Paradise. There's shared DNA here. I mean, the classic motion picture titled TV that we made in, I don't know, whenever, grade
high school,
7 or 8.
Before high school.
Before high school was also filmed in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So yeah, I mean, it's very cool. Might have to do a little comparison.
Well, we still got to get to Ebert's review here, which half-star rating, and out of 4. I just wanted so the opening is like a classic Ebert rant. I would just like to say right here and now that I don't see anything funny about shots of a lot of squad cars crashing in an intersection. There, I feel better. I know that puts me in the minority. Judging by hundreds of movies I've seen, everybody in Hollywood thinks it's absolutely hilarious to show police cars crashing, skidding, running off the road, hurtling from bridges, slamming into trucks, overturning, and otherwise being destroyed during chase scenes. I guess I just don't get the joke.
I'm with Roger on this one.
Yeah,
I think it's more about
heaven forbid.
I don't think the joke is about police cars specifically. I think it's like crashes. Like I think of Blues Brothers, right? Like all the crazy crashes and stuff.
It sounds to me like he's like, there's nothing funny about police officers being hurt in the line of duty.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess I don't disagree that I get that vibe from his review, but I think the comedic commentary he's making applies to just car crashes in general.
Well, what is his review of Blues Brothers? Is he critical of the car crashes?
Good question. I mean, I think in a lot of movies, it's like the cops are kind of bumbling idiots, and that's the comedic part of it. This movie just has a chase with cars crashing. I don't know if it's really specifically supposed to be comedic, but
yeah, out of all the things to be offended about not being funny in this movie, that didn't even make my list. I wasn't even aware of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny.
He gave Blues Brothers 3 out of 5. This is from his review, or 4. I was saying the musical numbers interrupt the chases. The fact is, the whole movie is a chase, with Jake and Elwood piloting a used police car that seems, as it hurtles across suspension bridges from one side to the other, to have a life of its own. There can rarely have been a movie that made so free with its locations as this one. There are incredible, sensational chase sequences under the elevated train tracks, on overpasses, in subway tunnels, under the loop, blah, blah, blah. One crash in particular, a pileup involving maybe a dozen police cars, has to be seen to be believed. I've never seen stunt coordination like this before.
Mm-hmm. Guess just if the craft is good, he'll appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you the end paragraph of his review of Trapped in Paradise. Listen.
It sounded like you said crapped in paradise.
Listen, you want to see a comedy about a nice family that ends up playing host to criminals on Christmas Eve? Rent The Ref, which came out earlier this year and is now in video stores. My rating, 3 stars. As for Trapped in Paradise, it should be preserved by the Library of Congress as an example of creative desperation. It plays like a documentary about a group of actors forced to perform in a screenplay that contains not one single laugh or moment of wit or flash of intelligence or reason for being.
This is the most accurate review I've ever heard in my life.
It's just weird that he mentions the ref, both shot in the same place.
I was watching it trying to imagine what this would have been like seeing in a theater and whether anyone, I could imagine anyone actually laughing at any of this, and I couldn't. Although there was one line that, I mean, I don't know if it's like a huge laugh, but I kind of like it, which is I think it's John Lovitz, where he says, whoever has the key, put your hand up when everybody already has their hands up. I mean, that's not bad, but
that's a desperate playing for humor.
That would work better in the hands of a Martin Short.
Sure. Yeah.
I even like John Ashton. He plays one of the owners of the store that's chasing them down, who is also in Midnight Run and Beverly Hills Cop. And he's not in that much stuff. I kind of like when he's in things, and he's underutilized as well and not very funny. There was another, everything to do with the dad in jail eventually coming to find them. There's no payoff to that at all. Like, I'm expecting some big reveal where it's her father and she doesn't even know it's her father, or it's just like, yeah, we all kind of knew this was a thing. Sorry, I didn't tell you about it. There's no payoff to them crossing paths at all.
Yeah.
Or like a Christmas message, even at the very least, about like family connections, no matter what, or, something like that. And the craziest thing about all of this is we're talking about everything this movie fails to do, or the dots it fails to connect. And it's 2 hours long. There's more than enough time to connect these dots.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Gallo just, thought he was hot shit after Midnight Run and wasn't ready.
I think I saw on IMDb. So while I was looking up Gallo on IMDb, I did notice, I was not aware there were like 3 direct to TV sequels to Midnight Run.
Oh, yeah.
Another Midnight Run for Your Life, and a few other ones that I've never seen. I think they star Chris McDonald taking over the Robert De Niro role. Anyone seen those?
No.
Nope.
But okay, Gallo. George Gallo has on IMDb, I feel like there was more when I looked before, 5 upcoming productions as a writer, and as a director, 8 upcoming projects. Like, it felt like someone who's juicing their own IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
Because they announce all this stuff, and so it looks like they're
well, he did write to some degree Bad Boys, and has a story credit for that. So I mean, that's
not a direction one. So for example, for directing, he had previously directed 14 things in total from 91 to 2023, and he's got 8 in production. So I don't know, something's not
Yeah,
it likes to work.
Hey, I can't blame him.
I think if this movie was 80 minutes, somewhere between 80 and 90, it wouldn't necessarily be funnier, but it would be maybe maybe you could look past the fact that it's not laugh out loud funny and just get caught up in the story. But there's just there's so much time spent on like just weird connective tissue moments in this that there's no meat to it. Like, it reminds me of going grocery shopping and spending $200 on groceries and then getting back and putting everything away and realizing you somehow only have enough food for like 3 days of meals or something. It's just a real overcommitment time-wise to something that is so shallow in terms of its characters and even its logic, but it's a Christmas classic.
Apparently another Christmas classic was filmed in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Christmas Inheritance.
I've not heard of that.
There's got to be some Hallmark movies that have been shot there.
That's a Netflix one. The Holiday Calendar, which looks like a Netflix one. The Recruit, apparently, Canadian Bacon. So a rich film history there.
The Dead Zone, which isn't necessarily a Christmas movie, but is set during the winter.
And apparently Red, the Bruce Willis classic. You might even say, is there a Niagara-on-the-Lake curse? If you film there, your movie would be an absolute piece of garbage.
I mean, the ref's not bad. You don't like the ref?
Well, it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Just not a great try. I don't mind Dead Zone either, but just gotta juice this thing up a bit. A few notes. Talk of ring dings in the movie. I think he wants to go get a ring ding and a beverage. I can't remember which one. I've never had a ring ding. Have you guys had a ring ding?
I don't think so. What is a ring ding?
I looked up trying to buy them and eat them on for this review.
Is it like a chocolate covered ho-ho?
Okay. Yeah, it looks familiar. Looks very similar to things I've had, but I may not have actually had these ones.
Like a Hostess chocolate cupcake, but there's a more of a Joe Louis harder chocolate shell around the cake portion with cream in the middle. I'm sure I would eat it and love it. I'd probably eat about 10 of them, but just never had one. And it's one of those things that used to show up in movies and TV shows all the time. I'm like, I've never seen one of these in the wild. Obviously it's an American thing, I think, but
I'm not crazy about a lot of those American pastries, like packaged pastries. But did you see what they eat at the end?
No, double decker.
Payday bars.
Oh, was it Payday? If we're talking food, my other observations were
scallions.
No, I'll leave that one for you.
It's got scallions.
Well, relating to that portion of the movie with the gravy, I love him just pouring the gravy on. And I've probably told this before, but it reminds me of my Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners with my grandfather when he would get hammered and then go to pour gravy and just cover his entire plate in gravy. And my dad would always say, "Hey, you want some gravy with your mashed potatoes there, bud?" And it would crack me up every time. It was like just watching it play every time.
Wouldn't it be, you want some mashed potatoes with your gravy?
What did I say?
You want some gravy with your mashed potatoes, bud?
It is. You want some mashed potatoes with your gravy. Oh my God, what a fail. Jingle fail. And then lastly, the toy in the cereal box in the store. Like this cute toy without a wrapper. It's nothing you would find in it's like the production people for the day prop, like just put some toy on the ground.
Well, also, did you see how the Captain Crunch boxes were merchandised? They were sideways with like the nutritional labels facing out.
Yeah, it seemed like they were specifically trying to hide the actual.
They weren't though, because he pulls it out and you see Captain Crunch.
But I feel like it was facing kind of, I mean, you do see it, you know what it is, but I feel like it was kind of facing away from the camera in a weird way.
If they had to do that, then you wouldn't see what it is at all.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It just looks like a art, person who has never worked a day in retail, has never merchandised a complete aisle of board games in an 8-hour shift, and doesn't realize that, you don't merchandise fucking boxes of cereal sideways. What are they, Funko Pops?
We're talking production fails. I don't know if I'm being a little extreme here, but I think it's some of the worst snow machine work I've ever seen. Like there's times where it feels like it's all coming out at once and it's covering the camera and then it goes away. Like there's not a consistent flow to the snow machine. It feels like very inauthentic snow whenever it's there, and it's right in front of the camera.
I don't mind that. I actually have a soft spot for fake looking snow.
Well, it's not the snow itself. It's the pattern and flow of the snow. That is a bit of a...
Well, I mean, if you want to dig into it, you can start talking about winds and, it could be snowing and then there could be wind blowing snow off of other things. And I personally, I think it was great, the snow patterning.
I mean, well, if anyone is watching this after the review, please weigh in.
I do remember in Niagara-on-the-Lake, there was like something to do with the amount of time that the fake snow was left in the town. I think they used potato flakes or something, and apparently it was like a big disaster to clean up.
Really?
That sounds amazing.
I mean, I was just going to say that on the street, the snow looks very slushy, which I assume that's like the real snow. And that would be something where people might come here to shoot a movie and think, oh, there's going to be beautiful snow there. And this area is really not that. So,
Well, we saw it. I can't remember what show was filming at Montebello Park when we were at Silicon Knights. It was like a new Twin Peaks type of show.
oh, yeah, that's
And they
right.
had to bust out the snow machine for that.
What was that show called? Happy something?
Yeah.
Happy Valley or Happy
It's like the name of a
Town
city.
yeah.
Happy Town sounds right.
Yeah, that's right.
It is. I think it is Happy Town. Right. I remember. No, I'm not sure. There is a show called Happy Town. I don't know if that was the one that filmed there.
Yeah, it might not have been. But one other thing on food, and I don't know if this is, I'm trying to think of where the scallions thing comes into play, but there's the scene where he's like where Dana Carvey grabs the guy's fork and starts like going to eat what's on his plate. And I think it's called Scrapple.
What are you doing?
I'm eating Scrabble.
Don't touch any of that. We're getting out of here.
He's got scallions.
I was like, what is that? Apparently this is a Pennsylvania Dutch food. So very specific to Pennsylvania. So hey, they got that right. It looks like
That's another ADR moment when they're moving everyone across the street to the bank, and Dana Carvey is walking with the chef, and they ADR him listing out the ingredients.
So it's ground beef, cheese, scallions, Scrabble. Thanks a lot.
apparently it consists of buckwheat, cornmeal, spices, and ground organs.
Mm.
Yep.
One other thing that I didn't get at all was with the bank talking about justifying, who they were stealing money from. It was this idea of like the Christmas Club account at a bank. Do you remember this? Like, oh, we have this Christmas Club account for getting people to save. What is this idea for a bank? Why would I need a separate account? Like, what's the marketing promotion? I don't get it at all.
I don't know. There's lots of weird little things that they try to get people to sign up for accounts, right? But like, I don't know what that would be. Like some kind of prize or discount for.
It's just very weird, especially for a small town. Oh, it's our Christmas club.
So that's a lot of money for the Christmas Club.
Yeah.
The filmmakers supplemented real snow with 75,000 pounds of custom-made biodegradable potato flakes from Idaho. According to John Lovitz, director George Gallo did not actually direct much and told the cast to do whatever they wanted.
Sounds about right.
There's a great Facebook post here. At the page Niagara Cycle Carriages. And it's a little thing about little film facts. Niagara-on-the-Lake, Trapped in Paradise was shot here. And then someone leaves a comment and it says dried mashed potato flakes it was.
Like Bigfoot from Howard Stern.
Yes. Dried mashed potato flakes it was. Or Yoda.
There's one weird thing. There's a part where John Lovitz has like aviator glasses on and a hat. I don't know if you remember. He looks like Joe Biden when Joe Biden's wearing his aviators. I was like, he's reminding me.
Come on, man.
So much like Joe Biden. And just relating to John Lovitz, can you imagine if your brother lied to you this much, ever talking to them again? Like that's this thing. He lies all the time. It is at another level that he continues to forgive his brother.
He's got a heart of gold.
Who does?
Nick Cage.
I don't think so.
There's also just finally like little weird things. You know, when they enter the bank, they're looking around. They're like, okay, the security camera is not plugged in. Then Nicolas Cage looks over at the security guard. It's this like 75-year-old man sleeping. And then there's a shot of Nicolas Cage bending over and flicking his earlobe. And that to me just seems like a weird choice. Like what is he doing? Is he testing to see if the guy will wake up? And if the guy does wake up, what is he going to say to him? It feels like a little comedic flourish that goes kind of against any logic that's set up in that scene, if there is any logic.
Yeah, I feel like doesn't he stay asleep and then like he tests him again after or something?
It just is like, I don't know. It's really depressing.
It's cruel is what it is.
It is cruel. I think that's it for me.
The show was Happy Town, by the way, Sean.
Yeah. There was somebody from Lost that was in it, wasn't there?
Yeah, I can't really figure out who that was. Apparently Sam Neill was in it. It was not one of the big players. The beautiful Amy Acker was the star. I missed my chance. David Cronenberg was in it. Something feels off. I remember it being connected to Lost, but I'm not actually connected to the show. But was it trying to be Lost or something like that? Is probably what we're thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
Oh no, MC Gainey.
MC Gainey. That's right.
That's who it was.
Another couple funny things from IMDb. According to Lovitz, Nicolas Cage actually directed some of the film because Gallo refused to give direction. John Lovitz claimed that the cast hated making the movie so much they took to calling it trapped in bullshit.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
I would expect more from comedians. Maybe they should have paid a little more attention to their jokes.
Dana Carvey based his character's speaking style on two people, film producer Brad Gray and a young Mickey Rourke. 20th Century Fox representatives had to fly from LA to Canada to tell Carvey to stop doing the voice, but Nicolas Cage encouraged him to keep doing it.
This sounds like the worst production. Jay, you might have to make a documentary about the making of Trapped in Paradise.
Maybe.
You might be the person.
Let's see here. There's a few more. The
Kind of like
Three-Legged Dog.
films, like disastrous productions. Something along that's not the title. It's just a working. That also doesn't roll off the tongue.
The Three-Legged Dog tripod was added to the script when the director saw the dog and its owner among spectators watching filming while in Elora, Ontario. To film the river scenes, crews had to remove large ice blocks from the Grand River in Elora, Ontario, as the river was frozen in midwinter and were stacked by the riverbank. Local residents were worried, blah, blah, blah. The film was the first that both Dana Carvey and John Lovitz had worked on together since leaving SNL. This was the second film written by George Gallo that Don Ashton appeared in. As noted, Dana Carvey based certain facial mannerisms on Mickey Rourke, who Nicolas Cage appeared in Rumblefish with. I don't know, man.
I mean, I think we've covered it. I mean, that's probably more words than have ever been said about Trapped in Paradise before. So
even the tripod thing, that was the next year. Alice in Chains had a self-titled album that had a three-legged dog, and I think the title was supposed to be Tripod, and they just ended up making it self-titled. So weird 90s things that come up in consecutive kind of things. It's weird. All those movies, 90s were fucked, man, and they made some really shitty movies.
Some good ones too, man. Let's not forget.
Duh.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I'm curious if you're listening or watching out there, have you even heard of this movie? Because I feel like it really has gotten forgotten in the last.
Have we said it's on Disney Plus?
Currently on Disney Plus in Canada. Not sure how to see it in the US, but check it out.
It's not on Disney Plus in the US?
Well, is it a Touchstone picture? I don't know. Like they don't have a lot of the star content, right? So
It might be on Hulu.
yeah, that's true.
It's on streaming in the US on Fubo, Paramount Plus, Showtime. Apparently it's on Tubi.
Oh, there you go.
I've had my doubts about the Just Watch
perfect.
plugin on Letterboxd these days, so there you go, bud.
That hat is huge.
Well, it's not. It can be adjusted, but okay. Star ratings. What are you guys going to give Trapped in Paradise out of 5 stars?
Oh boy,
I'll go first. I'd already logged it before I heard Ebert's half star out of 4, and I'm pretty much in lockstep. 1 out of 5 for me.
I'm going to give it a 1.5. 1.5 for the
I think
holiday
you liked
vibes.
it more than that.
Me?
Yeah, you kind of were digging it.
I don't know about that. Like I said, the
I
holiday
said it was
vibes.
terrible. You're like, really? No. Fine.
Before we even started recording, you said it was terrible, and I was like, yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna give it a 3 for the 3 wise men.
All right, there you go.
That's a novelty rating.
Hopefully, we added a new Christmas classic to your lexicon out there.
Jay should have given it 4 stars. Include his dad as one of the 4 wise men.
Yeah, it's true.
Not enough screen time. Pretty sure he does a direct to lens as well.
Oh, you got to capture that.
Yeah, you got to put that on the account.
Yeah.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.